Myself, Dr. Wajid Mogun. I'm assistant professor in Department of Nephrology. I would like to take the lecture on nephrotic syndrome. Coming back to nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic syndrome.
Okay, sir.
It constitutes proteinuria more than 3.5 gram in 24 hours. Second, hypoalbuminemia or hypoproteinemia. Third thing is peripheral edema. Fourth, hypercholesterolemia. And fifth one is lipiduria. Coming back to mechanism of proteinuria. Normally, minimum protein is filtered because of charge and size selectivity of the glomerular capillary wall. Negatively charged proteins, that is albumin, are repelled by the negatively charged proteins within the basement membrane, glomerular endothelium, and epithelium. Three diaphragm between porocyte food process act as a primary site for the size barrier to protein filtration. In proteinuria, the porocytes are injured, leading to food process swelling and injury to slit diaphragm. Usually, the normal protein excretion in human body is 150 milligram in 24 hours. Coming back to the mechanism of proteinuria. This is a diagram which showing endothelial cells. These are the podocytes. And this is the basement membrane. These are the food process. This is the normal mechanism of proteinuria. Now we will see what happen in proteinuria. In case of proteinuria, this is a normal epithelium. This is the urinary space. These are the capillary lumen. In proteinuria, means protein loss, there is visceral epithelium. Normal epithelium looks like epithelial cell defects. And endothelium is shrunken. This is the mechanism of proteinuria. Coming back to treatment of proteinuria, that is protein loss. Our aim is reducing proteinuria and reduce progression of renal disease. ACE inhibitor and ARBs lower the urine protein excretion by lowering efferent arterial pressure. Both are the drugs which reduce the proteinuria by 40 to 50%. The side effect of these drugs are hyperkalemia, that is rise in potassium level, and rise in serum creatinine may be observed in 10 to 20% of cases. Second characteristic is hypoalbuminemia. Hypoalbuminemia is a part of consequence of urinary protein loss. The liver responds by increasing albumin synthesis, but compensatory mechanism appears to be blunted in nephrotic syndrome. White band in the nails, that is Muircher's bands, are the characteristic clinical sign of hypoalbuminemia. Coming back to what is the treatment. Treatment should be dietary protein should be ensured around 0.8 to 1 milligram per kg per day with a high carbohydrate intake. This is the characteristic diagram which shows Muircher's bands in nephrotic syndrome. These are the white bands grew during the transient period of hypoaluminemia caused by nephrotic syndrome. Second one is the primary defect in the ability of the distal nephron to excrete sodium, which leads to increase in the blood volume, suppression of renin-angiotensin and vasopressin, and tendency to hypertension. Elevated blood volume, that is overfill therapy, which leads to low plasma on-body pressure, which provokes the transmission of the fluid into extracellular space and edema. This is the diagrammatic presentation, which leads to mechanism of nephrotic edema. These are the both theories what we discussed earlier, underfill therapy and overfill therapy. This is the mechanism of how edema formation takes place. This is the picture which showing periorbital edema in the early morning of nephrotic child. Usually we see the periorbital edema. Periorbital edema in nephrotic child. This is the severe peripheral edema. Usually peripheral edema is seen on the shin of tibia. Once you press with your thumb, it will pitting edema. That is severe peripheral edema. Coming back to management of edema in the nephrotic syndrome. In management, usually oral loop diuretics, that is furosemide And if no response to diuretics, then we can increase the diuresis dose. During the diuresis, as there is chances of hypokalemia, we used to monitor serum potassium level and add the potassium supplement if needed. Again, there is no response. After doubling the dose of diuresis, then we add oral thiazide like hydrochlorothiazide and metazolone. If again no response, then we switch tablet form to IV. And in case of there is still no response, still peripheral edema, swelling, then we used to give 20% of albumin therapy. And there is still no response, then we give mechanical ultrafiltration. Going back to treatment, dietary salt restriction. Both thiazide and loop diuretics are highly protein bound. Moderate dietary sodium restriction and daily weight is the best measurement of progress. Coming back to third entity, that is hyperlipidemia and lipiduria. A fall in the oncotic pressure triggers increase in the hepatic synthesis of LDL, PLDL, lipoprotein and cholesterol. Effective peripheral lipoprotein lipase activity resulting in increased VLDL and urinary losses of high density lipoprotein. Lipiduria is manifested by presence of refractile accumulation of lipid in the cellular debris and cast. Treatment usually dietary modification and exercise. Effective lipid lowering agents. These are xanthelasmas in nephrotic syndrome. Usually we see these are excess protein. These are the prominent xanthelasmas developed after 2 months in patient with recent onset nephrotic syndrome. Hypercholesteremia is more than 550 cholesterol. Coming back to fourth, hypercoagulability. In hypercoagulability, there is relative loss of inhibitor of coagulation, antithrombin 3, protein C, protein S. Increase in liver synthesis of procoagulant factor. It predisposes to deep vein thrombophlebitis, pulmonary embolia, and renal vein thrombosis. Thrombotic events increase markedly if the serum albumin decreases to less than 2. And up to 10% of the nephrotic adult and 2% of the children will have a typical episode of thromboembolism. Multiple proteins of the coagulation cascade have altered levels in nephrotic syndrome. And the treatment is basically prophylactic dose of anticoagulation is indicated at the times of high risk relative immobilization in hospital. And full dose of anticoagulation with low molecular weight heparin, warfarin, if serum albumin drops to less than 2, and if thrombosis or pulmonary embolism is suspected. These are the coagulation abnormalities in nephrotic syndrome. These are the flow chart showing which are the coagulation proteins, which fibrinogen factor 5, 7, protein C will lead to increased hepatic synthesis, will ultimately lead to hyperlipidemia, accelerated atherogenesis, will lead to arterial thrombosis, and second is venous thrombosis. Fourth one is infection. What is the mechanism? Why is this infection in nephrotic syndrome? There is large fluid collection at the sites for bacteria to grow easily. Nephrotic skin is fragile, creating sites of injury, and edema may dilute local humoral immune factors. Loss of IgG and complement factor B in the urine impairs host ability to eliminate encapsulated organisms such as pneumococci. Zinc and transferrin are lost in the urine, and both are required for normal lymphocyte function. Nephrotic patients are prone to bacterial infection. Sepsis is the most common cause of death. Primary peritonitis caused by pneumococci is the characteristics of nephrotic child. In adult peritonitis, beta hemolytic streptococci and gram-negative organisms. Cellulitis, it is caused by beta hemolytic streptococci organisms. Coming back to what are the causes of acute renal failure in nephrotic syndrome? First one is the pre-renal failure due to volume depletion, acute tubular necrosis due to volume depletion or sepsis, intrarenal edema, renal vein thrombosis, adverse effect of some drug therapy, and acute allergic interstitial nephritis secondary to various drugs which include diuretics, and maybe some hemodynamic response to NSAID, AC and ARBs. Chronic renal insufficiency. Risk factor for the progression is the degree of proteinuria. Progression is uncommon if the proteinuria is less than 2 gram. Risk increases in proportion to the severity of proteinuria with marked rise of progression when protein excretion is more than 5 gram. What are the causes of nephrotic syndrome? Usually minimal chain disease, 5 to 10% of the cases. Focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, 20 to 25% of cases. Membranous nephropathy, 25 to 30% cases. MPGN, 5%. And other proliferative and sclerosing GN, 15 to 30%. These are the nephrotic syndrome associated with some specific cause. These are the secondary nephrotic syndrome, which include systemic disease like diabetes, SLE or other collagen disease, infections like bacterial, which we already mentioned, post-streptococcal, congenital and secondary syphilis, viral hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV infection, parasitic like malaria, toxoplasma, filariasis. And second is medication related, that is gold, mercury, heavy metals, penicillamine, NSAIDs, lithium, captopril, and allergens, venoms, and immunization. Coming back to congenital nephrotic syndrome, heavy proteinuria starting within 3 months of the birth. When you call is that congenital nephrotic syndrome? When there is presence of proteinuria within 3 months of the birth. Most common causes are mutation in the genes coding for structure in the slit diaphragm or regulating them. Steroid therapy has no value in congenital nephrotic syndrome. Only treatment is to maintain the patient with albumin infusion till the transplantation can be done. Coming back to minimal chain disease, MCDs. 70 to 90% of the nephrotic syndrome in the children, 10 to 15% nephrotic syndrome in adults, associated with other conditions like Hodgkin disease, allergies, or use of NSAID. There is an association has been reported with HLA-DR7, present clinically with abrupt onset edema, podocyte food process assessment seen with the electron microscopy. Acute renal failure is a complication. It may follow hypovolemia. These are the light microscopic picture of minimal chain disease. Here we showing the normal glomerulus. There is no abnormality. Actually, it is difficult to understand for you, but this is a normal glomerulus. How it looks like. What are the factors associated with the onset of nephrotic syndrome in MCD? These are the different causes, like drugs like NSAID, interferon alpha, lithium and gold are the rare causes. Second is allergy like pollen, house dust, insect, things and immunization. Malignancy related with nephrotic syndrome like Hodgkin disease, mycosis fungoides, and chronic lymphocytic leukemia. These are the treatment of adult MCD. What is the treatment? Main treatment is the steroids. We usually start with the prednisolone at the dose of 1 milligram per kg. Ideal body weight. Maximum dose is 80 milligram per day. If the patient weight is around 60 kg, we started with 60 milligram per day. Then again we see for there is any remission or need of IV corticosteroid therapy or repeat biopsy. This we discuss after investigation. Second is FSGS, that is focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. It is a pattern of renal injury characterized by segmental glomerular scar, a common cause of progressive renal disease and end-stage renal disease. Variants like cellular lesion with endocapillary hypercellularity and heavy proteinuria. Collapsing glomerulopathy with segmental or global glomerular collapse. There is rapid decline in renal function. These are the renal biopsy section, light microscopy, we showing FSGS. These are the segmental scar with sclerosis. You can show the sclerosis, capsular lesion. These are the normal glomerulus. Coming back to etiology of FSGS. Most of them is idiopathic. Second one is association with systemic disease or drugs like HIV infection, diabetes mellitus, Fabry disease, or as a consequence of sustained glomerular capillary hypertension like congenital oligonephropathies, acquired nephron loss, other adaptive response. Coming back to therapeutic option in FSGS. If there is subnephrotic proteinuria without any symptoms, first you have to optimize the BP control. BP control should be less than 125 systolic or 75 diastolic. Therapy with the AC inhibitor or ARBs, therapy with the statin, and avoid high protein diet. If there is nephrotic syndrome, symptomatic, high risk of complication of nephrotic syndrome, first 4 is optimal BP control, therapy with AC inhibitor, ARBs, therapy with statin, and avoid high protein diet. Plus steroid, that is prednisolone, 1 milligram per kg body weight or 2 milligram per kg body weight for 6 to 8 weeks. Then, as per proteinuria review says, you can taper the dose and continue up to 6 months. Alternative therapy at like oral cyclosporine, cyclophosphamide, or mycophenolate. These are the anti-proliferative drugs. That is, third entity is membranous nephropathy. These are present in 30% cases in adults, age is 30 to 50 years. Male to female predominance is 2:1, and 25 to 30% cases associated with the malignancy, solid tumor of the breast, lung, colon, infection, hepatitis B, malaria. 50% patient may have the microscopic hematuria. Means urine may show the RBCs. Highest incidence reported in case of renal vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, and deep venous thrombosis. These are some conditions or agents associated with membranous nephropathy. These are some immune diseases, SLE or type 1 diabetes, infection or parasitic disease like hepatitis B is common with membranous nephropathy. Drugs or toxins like gold, penicillamine, NSAIDs. What are the therapeutic options in membranous nephropathy, like non-disease specific therapy in all patients? Just we mentioned earlier, blood pressure control, that is less than 125/75. Sodium restriction drug therapy, AC inhibitor, ARB is usually preferred. Reduction in the lipid level, reduction in the urine protein excretion, and dietary protein restriction up to 0.8 gram per kg per day. This is specific therapy that is for selected patients. They usually use low dose of steroid and cytotoxic drugs. Last option may be rituximab or RV immunoglobulin. Coming back to physical examination of nephrotic syndrome. In physical examination, we usually see for periorbital edema, as we see earlier. Second is pitting edema of the legs. That is choroidal edema, sacral edema, ascites, and loss of skin disease. Coming back to investigation. First is urine analysis. What you see for in urine, we see for proteinuria. There are different methods of 24-hour urinary protein or spot urine or urine by dipstick. Usually in urine dipstick, 1+, 2+, 3 to 4+ is selective. And 24-hour is for children, more than 40 milligram per meter square per hour for children. That is significant. And third we see for oliguria. When oliguria means no urine output. Microscopically, we usually see for microscopic hematuria, large number of Hellencasts and large number of RBCs. Second investigation, blood. In blood, what you see, we see for serum protein level. It should be decreased less than 5.5, and albumin levels are also low, less than 2.5 gram per deciliter. Second, serum cholesterol and triglyceride level. Cholesterol level is more than 220 milligram per deciliter, and ESR may be raised up to more than 100. Third, we see for serum complement level, C3 and C4 level. It may vary with the clinical type. And fourth one is the renal function. Going back to kidney biopsy, what are the indications for kidney biopsy? It should be considered in the secondary nephrotic syndrome, hematuria, hypertension, and low GFR. What are common screening tests? We do usually fasting blood sugar and glycosylated hemoglobin test for diabetes. Second one is anti-nuclear antibody testing for rheumatoid disease. Third one is the serum complement level for immune complex mediated disease. And fourth one is selected patients, cryoglobulins, hepatitis B, C, serology, and ANCA and anti-GBM antibodies. Coming to complications of nephrotic syndrome. Most common is the infection, that is spontaneous peritonitis. Common organism is Streptococcus. Second one is the polyvalent pneumococcal vaccine. Third one is sepsis, pneumonia, cellulitis, or urinary tract infection. Second one is arterial and venous thrombosis. In arterial and venous thrombosis, for inhibitor of the fibrinolysis, decrease plasma antithrombin 3, increase platelet aggregation, and deficiency of coagulation factor 9th, 11th, and 12th. Coming back to treatment, of nephrotic syndrome. General therapy, hospitalization for the initial workup and evaluation of treatment. Activity like usually there is no restriction except massive edema, heavy hypertension, and infection. Diet, in diet usually hypertension and edema, low salt diet, less than 2 grams of sodium per day, only during the period of edema or salt-free diet. In cases of severe edema, restricting the fluid intake. Avoiding infection is very important. Diuresis with the help of diuretics like hydrochlorothiazide and furosemide. Corticosteroid, the prednisolone therapy. Prednisolone tablets at a dose of 60 mg per meter square per day. Maximum daily dose, as I mentioned, 80 mg in divided doses. Usually give daily OD dose, or in some cases we can do in morning and evening dose with divided for at least 4 consecutive weeks. After complete absence of proteinuria, prednisolone dose should be tapered to 40 mg per meter square per day, given every other day as a single morning dose. Alternate day dose is then slowly tapered and discontinued over the next 2 to 3 months. Going back to our previous slides, like we have to discuss in treatment of MCD. These are the algorithm for the treatment of adult MCD. As the patient with the adult MCD, we start with the prednisolone. As mentioned, 80 mg is the maximum dose at the dose of 1 mg per kg. If there is remission, that is negative urine proteinuria, urine analysis, usually less than 2 weeks. And if the first episode occurs, then we again start with the full dose of the prednisolone for 1 more week. And after 1 week, we reduce the dose to 0.5 mg per kg per day. If we started with, suppose we started with 60 mg per day, there is remission, means proteinuria decreases. The first episode occur, patient again develop proteinuria. Then we start with the full dose, that is again 60 mg. Then for more than 1 week, around 1 week, then we reduce the dose to 0.5 mg, that is from 60 to 30 mg until the 8 weeks. And then after 8 weeks, we taper and slowly taper and stop over 4 to 6 weeks. That is 1.5 months. If there is no remission after 8 weeks, usually we give for 8 weeks prednisolone 1 mg per kg. Then we can go for IV diuretics, IV corticosteroids. And if again there is no response, then we consider for repeat renal biopsy. If there is relapse, then we continue the full dose of prednisolone for 3 to 7 days, and we reduce the dose to 0.5 mg per kg for 1 week, then taper to stop over 4 weeks. If what is called as frequent relapsing, if there is more than 2 to 3 relapses in 6 to 9 months, then we reinduce the remission with steroids. Second line treatment will be depend on the patient's age and other factors. Other options like cyclophosphamide at the dose of 2 mg per kg for the 12 weeks. And second one is cyclosporine at the dose of 150 mg per meter square or 3 to 4 mg per kg for 12 months. That is up to 1 year. We should maintain the cyclosporine level between 50 to 125 nanogram per ml. Again, continue for the cyclosporine dose for the 3 months. Coming back to the therapeutic option in FSGS, what we discussed, if there is subnephrotic proteinuria, when nephrotic range proteinuria is more than 3.5 gram, if there is subnephrotic proteinuria without any symptoms, we usually control with the symptomatic treatment like optimize the blood pressure control less than 125/75, therapy with the ACE inhibitor or ARBs, therapy with the statin, and usually avoid the high protein diet. Second, nephrotic syndrome, which is symptomatic, high risk complication of nephrotic syndrome, usually treated with the optimal control therapy with the ACE inhibitor or ARB, therapy with the statin, and avoid high protein diet. Plus, we started with the steroids. That is prednisolone 1 milligram per kg per day, 2 milligram per kg per day for 6 to 8 weeks, with the subsequent taper of dose, and continued the therapy until remission or up to 6 months. Then alternative therapy or for steroid resistance patient, we usually start with the anti-proliferative agent like oral cyclosporine 4 to 6 milligram per kg per day for 4 to 6 months. Second option will be oral cyclophosphamide 2 milligram per kg per day for 2 to 4 months. And third will be oral mycophenolate mofetil 1 to 1.5 gram VD dose for 4 to 6 months. Third, we have to discuss about the treatment of membranous nephropathy. We divide here the two categories: non-disease specific therapy, and second one is the disease specific therapy. In non-disease specific therapy, we usually blood pressure control is the main, less than 125/75. Sodium restriction drug therapy, ACE inhibitor or ARBs usually preferred. Second is reduction in the lipid levels, reduction in the urine protein excretion, and dietary protein restriction of up to 0.8 gram per kg per day. Second one is the disease specific therapy in selected patients where we are not responding to APO treatment, that is blood pressure control and ACE inhibitor or ARBs. In disease specific therapy, we usually give the low dose of steroid and cytotoxin drugs, cyclophosphamide, alternating monthly cycle of oral chlorambucil and pulse steroid for the 6 months, and possibly mycophenolate mofetil. Third option will be low dose cyclosporine 2.5 to 5 milligram per kg per day for 12 to 24 months, rituximab and IV immunoglobulin. Mainly treatment for the is with steroid, corticosteroids, and should be continued for up to 6 months. The reference is from the Comprehensive Clinical Nephrology, John Fiali. Thank you for listening.